September 10th, 2024, regular monthly meeting. Meeting called to order by President Sunshine Visitors, Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Members absent, none. Moved by McCarthy, seconded by Decker to accept the minutes for the previous meeting as read, motion carried. Moved by Piaski, seconded by Markuski to pay the village bills for September 2024, motion carried. Maverick Pumping, $295 with Share County Treasurer, $237.62. Quick Trip Inc., $71.53. Dan McCarthy, $417.88. Tom Monticelli, $461.75. Alliant Energy, $700.72, and We Energy's $10.10. Public comment, Reese thanked Dennis for mowing the boulevard. He asked why the county put the gravel on East Washington. He thought Steve should be allowed to burn in the boulevard. Wanda asked where you can put a fence on your property on the lot line. Closed. Markuski explained the process for gravel and grinding the blacktop. Visitors opened the topic of burning in the boulevard. Markuski stated Steve has been cleaning the boulevard for years and should be able to burn when he's ready. Visitor says she appreciates people helping out in the village. The DNR was contacted and had no problem with burning. Steve should contact a board member before burning. Moved by Markowski, seconded by Piaski to allow Steve to burn in the boulevard, but he must contact a board member before he starts to make sure conditions are okay. Motion carried. McCarthy is bringing the plow to Jim's this month to get the wing installed and to get the plow ready for winter. Visitors thank Chet Sargo for painting the painting he did. Moved by Markuski, seconded by McCarthy to adjourn. Motion carried.
Before we do, I don't think the paint, I thought Chet said the painting wasn't done yet last month. I just asked him if it was, so just, that might be a correction on that before we.
Oh, if the painting was done. I saw
Yes.
painting out there.
Is it painted now?
It was painted last month.
time.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then I misunderstood him.
Yeah, he said it was,
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
made a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried.
United States Treasury, third quarter, $848.39. Red Granite Area Fire District, fourth quarter dues, $2,567. Red Granite Area Fire District, 10 EMS calls, $250. Dan McCarthy, 162 miles, and Rat Killer, 114.60. Dan McCarthy, 6 hours mowing and 8 hours road, 166.23. Tom Monticelli clerk, 461.75. I do not have the Alliant Energy or the We Energy bill yet.
Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll move to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
Public comment?
So I would like to thank Mr. Markowski for having replied to my comment last month with the road. I'm glad to see it was done that way, and I'm glad that you were informed on that. Question on that is, are they going to be doing some shoulder work to put some stone along there? And what about where that meets the red granite line, because that's kind of a
They're gonna
pretty
fill all
nasty
that.
bump.
They're supposed to do that, well, they had, I don't know how many, but 7, 8 roads to do.
Right.
And as soon as they get the blacktopping all done on them, then they'll come and shoulder it all.
Okay, what about the bump where it meets that, where it transitions from the new road to red granite road?
I haven't been down, so I didn't ask.
It's a little peaked on,
Yeah.
going towards red granite.
Well, now I see today they took the sign down. It's open.
But then again, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other public comment? Public comment is closed.
Okay, we have some people here from the school district.
Okay, you guys can go ahead.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm here, my name is Jewel Mufflin, I'm the superintendent for the Otoma Area School District. I'm here with Carmen O'Brien.
I'm the CFO for the district.
And then we also have Mr. Adam Henning here.
Adam
who's
Henning,
from
board
our-
member for the district.
From our board as well. So we're just gonna give you guys some information, but then we're gonna present kind of what we have coming up on the ballot here in November. And our ultimate goal is really just to inform the community about what we have here coming up on the referendum ballot. So we have copies of our presentation for you, so you can follow along, and certainly we have additional information for you as well.
Thank you.
So first and foremost, we want to start by talking about some of the things that we celebrate within our school district. One thing that we share out is our school report card scores. Our school report card that is issued by the Wisconsin State DPI every year. In the last 3 years, our school district has exceeded expectations. And it's not so much we celebrate getting a score of exceeding expectations, but it's about what goes into that score. And so we're evaluated as a school district based on our graduation rates, our attendance rates, our student growth scores, and then also our achievement scores. So that's one thing we like to celebrate. We also like to point out that we have a variety of programming available to students, from AP classes to youth apprenticeship classes to opportunities over at the tech college. So some of the programming that we have, we continue to expand on that every year. And then we also, from a safety perspective, we have a full-time counselor in each of our 4 schools, at least one of them, and then we have a full-time school resource officer who serves our district as well. So those are some of the highlights that we have. So probably numbered the pages here for you. If you go to the slide that says ballot language, that is going to be what you're going to see on the ballot in November. If you've already voted absentee, you're going to see that language. And essentially what that question is, it is a ballot question that was adopted unanimously by our 7-member board back in August. So this question is essentially the best solution that we feel as a school district that we've come up with to address district-wide needs that we have. So our process starting towards referendum actually started back in 2021, and we started with looking at renovating Riverview Elementary, and it has since evolved into what we're going to present for you guys tonight. So because that ballot language is all like a lot of legalese, we'll turn to the next slide, the district-wide solution slide, and that's really going to break down what the question is covering. So we are putting a $39.8 million question on the ballot to address the needs that are outlined in the district-wide solution slide. So $12.3 million of that total is going to go towards district-wide maintenance needs. So that covers the immediate needs that we have at our schools, but then that also goes years 1 to 5 as well. So overall, across the schools, we have about $24 million worth of deferred maintenance within our aging buildings that have to be addressed in some capacity. We're also going to be looking at updating our entry sequences to allow for more safety and security when students and visitors are entering our building, and we'll cover more of that. The question covers closing Riverview Elementary, because portions of that building are our oldest school within our district. It's the original part of Riverview Elementary was built in the late 50s. And so we have some of the original plumbing, we have original electric, and so we've tried to update those systems over time, but eventually, as we know with aging buildings, they kind of just become dilapidated over time. We also are looking to align our grade levels. So right now we have Red Granite Elementary, which is a 4K through 5 school, and we would like to align Parkside to become a 4K through 5 school. Right now, Parkside School is one of 2 schools in the entire state of Wisconsin that's a 4 through 8 school. So what we're doing as part of this plan is to reduce from having 4 schools down to 3, because enrollment just isn't the same as it was 15, 20 years ago. Part of our question also includes adding on an addition at Watoma High School to turn it into a 612 site. Providing an allowance to update some of the furniture and fixtures. Some of the classrooms are using the original furniture that was put into the school. And then also an allowance to allow for some contingency costs to make sure that we stay within budget. A difference between school districts and other governmental entities, we cannot go over the amount that the community approves on a referendum, and then in addition to that, we cannot go outside the parameters that were included in the referendum question as well. So if you keep going, you'll see some information and pictures related to some of the district-wide maintenance needs that we have. Red Granite, built in 1991. That's the second newest school. Parkside is the newest school. That was built in 1993. It was passed through a referendum in 1992. We have maintenance needs varying from $1 million to $7 million. It's just district buildings get old, much like our homes, and we try to, repair and upkeep as much as we can, but eventually the Band-Aid fixes no longer suffice. Additionally, what we've done over the years is we have new systems that we're trying to hook up to old systems, and then it just, at the end of the day, doesn't always work. So you can kind of see some pictures of the maintenance needs that we have in the district. If you follow along to the safety and security slide, you can see on the bottom picture is what a typical entrance looks like in our schools right now. So what happens, we have students that are buzzed in the external doors, and then a visitor or students, whoever, they have free reign of the entire school. If you look at the top picture, you can see someone is buzzed in externally and they go straight to the office. They don't have access to the rest of the school. The next slide covers closing Riverview. That would remove $6 million of future maintenance needs. And then part of the allocation in the question is to raise that building and restore it to green space, and we would either sell the land, or we haven't fully figured out what we do with the land. That's really dependent on if the referendum passes. The next slide talks about the renovations and the work that would be done at Parkside to transform that into a 4K through 5 school. And then we also have some work that would be done at Red Granite Elementary. So that would receive a safe and secure entry. We would address $1 million worth of maintenance needs, and again, that furniture allowance. And then you turn to the middle school addition. So of the $39.8 million, approximately $17 million of it would go towards an addition at Watoma High School to turn it again into a 6th grade through 12th grade site. One of the concerns the community has is, well, I don't want a 6th grader mingling with a senior in high school. Completely justifiable. They would be on different bell schedules for the spaces that they would share in the high school, but essentially it would be like the middle school is completely separate from the rest of the high school. So yeah, that's a big portion of that ask on the ballot. If you look on the next page, you can see a rendering. That was one thing that the community really wanted to see. If we were going to bring on potentially a new building within the community, we want to see what it could potentially look like, so you can see what it looks like if it goes through. And then of course everybody wants to know, what's it going to cost me if this referendum passes? So there is a slide in here that talks about the estimated tax impact. So if this referendum were to go through, it would be an additional $1.74 per $1,000 of property value. Our mill rate for a school district right now is about $5.71. We would add that $1.74 to the mill rate, bringing us up to about $7.22, give or take, which is still below the state average. So now Carmen's gonna talk to you more about money because she's the money lady.
So I just want to let you know, why now? Why do we want to do this now? Our buildings aren't getting any younger. Obviously, it's just the maintenance issues are just going to continue. We want to ensure that our buildings are safe and secure for our students. Construction costs are only going to continue to rise as we go forward. And this referendum then addresses maintenance needs for all of our schools for the next 5 years. The greatest needs that we have are the general building, the electrical, the plumbing, and the HVAC systems. So it's the stuff that you can't see, it's the stuff behind the walls. If you go to the little graph that has the per student adjustment, what happened in the 1990s, if you recall, there was, the state enacted something called revenue limits. And those revenue limits, at that time, Watoma was a low spending district, a very conservative spending district. And so what that did though is it locked us in at a low spending amount of revenue limit. A revenue limit is how much the state decides that a school district needs to operate. And so your revenue limit is here. The state gives us some aid, which was, gives us there, and then we levy the rest through our property taxes up to the revenue limit. A referendum allows us to exceed the revenue limit. But again, we work by very specific rules where we cannot exceed what is on that referendum, and we can't go outside the bounds of the referendum question. So what happened in 2008 about-ish, if you recall, there was a housing market bubble. And so what happened is when the revenue limit was first enacted, it was to increase along with inflation. So that was tied to the CPI, tied to inflation. In 2008, 2009, they decoupled the revenue limit with inflation as a temporary fix for our economy issues at that time. The thing that happened though is it was never recoupled. And so as you know, since 2009, inflation has gone up, but our revenue limits have maintained, have gone, pretty even. So what that has caused is a gap, and if you've noticed, many school districts are going to referendum now. It's just now starting to catch up with schools in the last probably 4 or 5 years that schools can no longer afford to operate based on the revenue limit formula. So if we were if the revenue limit had kept up with inflation, we would have approximately $3,300 more per student. If you multiply that by our 1,350 students, we would have over $4 million more added to our budget each year. So that would have, that would have helped us very much keep up with those maintenance issues. So if you keep going, you might wonder, what do we actually spend our money on? We have about a $20 million budget. The majority is spent on our people. We are a business of people, and so that's that. The second most largest part of our budget is something called purchase services. That's your electrical, your gas, your heating, your anything that we bring in that we don't have employees, that's considered a purchase service. And the rest are, supplies and capital equipment and other things. We do have a small amount of debt that we're paying off from an energy efficiency loan that we sold bonds for in 2018, I believe. If you go to the next page, there is recent referenda, so you can see some of our neighboring schools. What happens when a school goes to referendum? Obviously, they're able to increase their programming, to do some different things. There is a little bit of keeping up with the Joneses when you're talking about our neighboring school districts. So students now are allowed to open enroll out of our district, or they can open enroll into our district. When they open enroll out, tax money goes with them. So we make payments to other districts for students that open enroll out. We get payments from other districts for students that open enroll in. If a student decides, or a family decides, that they're, Watoma is not offering them what they need, we look at losing revenue because of that. If you take a look at the one of the last slides here that I'll talk about, how does reassessment impact your taxes? So a lot of our districts, or a lot of the municipality within the Watoma Area School District is going through a reassessment at this point. What reassessment does, though, is each of the municipalities, they are allocated an amount of the property, of the tax levy for the school based on your fair market value of your homes. So the amount that the district asked for does not change, it's the same amount. But when you get reassessed, your portion of the municipality changes. And it changes in accordance with your neighbors. So if, let's say, your district or your municipality is reassessed and everybody, or the average, it goes up by 50%, and your property only gets reassessed at 30% increase, your taxes will actually go down because it's less than your neighbors, essentially. If it's at 50%, the increases are about 50%, and yours increases by 50%, your taxes will stay exactly the same. If the reassessment goes greater than that 50%, what your neighbors did, then your taxes will increase. So a reassessment doesn't automatically mean that your taxes are going to increase. It's just a reapportionment of the portion that your municipality has. So that is my spiel on assessment and such. And I would be happy if you have time and you want to.
That was a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. I would be happy to answer any questions, but we have already gone over our 10 minutes, so I don't want to take any more of your time. But please know, anybody in the room here, is if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us at the district office. Jewel or I are there every day and willing, we answer the phones, so we're happy to.
Yeah, we just want to get the word out there. We're encouraging people just to understand the needs of the school district, getting out to vote. We just appreciate you guys letting us come and speak on behalf of the district.
Thank you. Did you get all that?
Good thing I know about reevaluation.
Okay, anything else for you?
No, I have nothing tonight.
Buckwheat, do you have anything?
Okay, on the plow truck, we put the wing on hold just for a little bit. We had to take the valve body in because that was leaking so bad. They said if it's repairable, it could be $2,300, and then we'll continue with, but if it's unrepairable, we're looking at over $6,000 for just that valve body. So then we'll put the wing on hold until next year.
Okay.
And I did get the LED light for it. And then the other side lights, I got that because we'll get that under that,
Safety.
yeah, safety.
Thank you. Anything from you?
No.
The only thing I had was an email about the Kentop property, which I will write up and address, so if you guys want to take a drive by there, you can, but I think it's probably the same as what it has been.
And not to take away from buckwheat, but the new fire engine should be here. I think from what I had heard, they may be picking it up this week, but then it still needs to, have some work done to get it put into service.
Yeah, they did. At last meeting, they don't really know exactly. Depends when they get done working on it, I guess. But
And I'm just hoping somebody makes a motion.
I'll make a motion, Edgar.
Second it.
All in favor? Opposed?
I think that one, yeah, that one, yeah, this one, I've been from Park Street, Park Road, whichever one,
It isn't.
whichever one it isn't, where I went. Park Street, I went like by Quick Trip with my GPS, like a Park Street over there.
Where do you guys go next?
Lawrence.
Follow
Good, I
Tom.
get to hear it again.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You don't have